Everyone in that hospital whispered that night, but no one dared to speak her name. Because the woman they had just fired had done the unthinkable. She saved a man who wasn't supposed to live. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. It started on a rain-soaked Tuesday evening in San Diego. The trauma bay was a blur of blood, alarms, and voices colliding. Nurse Emily Carter had worked double shifts before, but never like this. The man on her table looked like death itself, riddled with bullet wounds across his chest, shoulders, and legs. 40. That's what the surgeon whispered when he counted. 40 entry wounds. The man's dog tags read Lieutenant Marcus Hale, U.S. Navy SEAL. The staff froze. The chart said classified operation. The orders said no removal of foreign objects until authorized. But Emily saw something the others didn't, a fragment pressing against his artery. Seconds from bursting. Step back, she told the others. Her voice didn't shake. If we wait for clearance, he's gone. The surgeon hesitated. That's a direct violation of protocol. Emily met his eyes. Then fire me later. Right now, we save him. And she did. With trembling hands and sweat streaking down her face, she removed each bullet, one by one. The metallic clinks echoed like church bells in the silence. Blood soaked her scrubs. Alarm screamed. Marcus's pulse faded, then came back. When the last bullet dropped into the tray, his breathing steadied. He lived, or so she thought, by morning. The story had reached administration. A nurse had operated without clearance on a classified patient. A direct violation of medical and federal codes. They called her into the boardroom. A dozen men in suits, faces cold as marble. You disobeyed protocol, the hospital director said. I saved his life. That's not the point. It didn't matter that Marcus Hale was alive because of her. The rules had been broken. She was suspended on the spot, her badge taken, her career shattered in a single stroke of bureaucracy. Outside, the rain had stopped. Emily walked through the parking lot, clutching the scrubs still stained with his blood. She thought she'd never see him again. She was wrong. That night, her phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Carter? Yes. This is Lieutenant Commander Dawson, U.S. Navy. We need to speak with you. In person. Her heart pounded. She agreed. An unmarked SUV pulled up an hour later. Inside sat two officers. They said nothing as they drove. The city lights blurred by. She felt like she was being taken somewhere she didn't belong. The car stopped at a secure military hospital. Guards saluted as they entered. Inside, Marcus Hale was awake. Pale, bandaged, but alive. His blue eyes met hers across the room. You're the nurse, he whispered. You didn't wait for permission. She nodded, unsure what to say. He smiled weakly. Good. If you had, I'd be dead. For the first time in 24 hours, Emily felt air fill her lungs again. But before relief could take hold, the commander entered. Miss Carter, he said, you're being investigated. What you did breached protocol for a classified op. The bullets you removed, they weren't standard issue. They contained embedded trackers. Emily froze. Trackers? Yes. Whoever shot him could trace the signal back here. You almost compromised an entire unit. Her stomach dropped. The realization hit like ice water. Saving a man's life had almost put others in danger, but Marcus interrupted. His voice carried authority, even from the bed. Commander, that's enough. She made a choice no one else had the courage to make. Dawson's jaw tightened. With all due respect, sir, with all due respect, Marcus cut him off. You wouldn't be talking to me if she hadn't done what she did. Silence. Then, surprisingly, Dawson nodded. Understood, sir. He left the room. The next few hours blurred together. Emily sat beside Marcus, hearing fragments of what had happened. His team had been ambushed overseas. He'd taken the bullets while covering his men's retreat. They called him Ghost Shield, the one who never went down. Until that night, when Emily asked why the hospital had been ordered not to treat him without authorization, Marcus sighed. Because sometimes the government protects secrets more than people. That line would stay with her forever. By dawn, Marcus was stable enough for transfer. Emily was escorted out, told the Navy would handle everything from there. She went home, exhausted, broken, uncertain if she'd ever work again. Her apartment was quiet, too quiet. She turned on the TV just to drown out the thoughts. Then the headline flashed across the screen. Unknown nurse saves Navy SEAL, later fired for heroic act. Her heart stopped. Her story, out in public, reporters were camped outside the hospital, demanding answers. Online forums were exploding with outrage. Veterans shared her photo, calling her the Angel of Mercy. Hashtag spread. Even politicians weighed in. She tried to hide, but the world had already found her. Within hours, her inbox filled with thousands of messages from soldiers, nurses, families. One said, "My son's alive today because someone like you broke protocol." Another simply said, "Heroes don't always wear uniforms." 24 hours after she was fired, a black SUV appeared again. But this time, it wasn't for questioning. Marcus stepped out, in full dress uniform, his chest lined with ribbons. His limp was visible, but his eyes were clear. He approached her porch with a small smile. "Miss Carter," he said, "on behalf of the United States Navy, I'm here to deliver something." He handed her a sealed folder. Inside was a commendation letter, signed by the Secretary of Defense. Effective immediately, it read, "Nurse Emily Carter is reinstated with full honors for extraordinary service under crisis conditions." Her hands trembled. "Marcus, how did you?" He chuckled. "Let's just say word travels fast when the right people hear it. Besides," his voice softened, "you reminded me what we fight for, not just orders, but life itself." She blinked back tears. The same hands that had once trembled in the operating room now held proof that doing the right thing still mattered. Neighbors gathered on their porches, watching the scene unfold. Some clapped quietly. Others just smiled through tears. It was one of those moments that felt too cinematic to be real, but it was not a week later. Emily returned to work, not at the same hospital, but at a veterans clinic funded by donations that poured in after her story went viral. The walls there were filled with photos of men and women she'd helped, and one framed letter from the Navy SEAL who had changed everything. It read, "To Emily, for every rule you broke that night, there's a life still breathing today. Thank you for seeing the man, not the mission." She hung it where everyone could see. Sometimes she still thought about that night. The rain, the blood, the impossible decision. But she never regretted it, because sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that prove our humanity. And that's the truth, because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And maybe, just maybe, the woman they fired wasn't breaking the rules. She was rewriting them. Before you go, tell me in the comments, would you have done what Emily did? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us why courage still matters.